Hey, this is Dave from metalepidemic.com. Thank you for checking out our YouTube video. Please feel free to hit the subscribe button below if you like this type of content, and we hope you enjoy the review. What's up guys, Dave here from Metal Epidemic, back with another album review, and for this review Duncan Kyle and myself have been checking out the new album from Love and Death. The band's new album, Perfectly Preserved, will be released on February 12th via Earache Records. So this is album number 2 from Love and Death, and if you have never heard of them before, this is the band that Brian Head Welch of Korn started back in 2009 when he kind of rebranded his solo project. He originally recruited the band through YouTube auditions. They did some touring, and then the band was officially rebranded and announced as Love and Death in 2012. They put out their debut album Between Here and Lost in 2013, and after that, Head actually rejoined Korn, and this band went on hiatus.
That must suck. Hey, that must suck when you're like that. Yeah. Oh, we're playing with the dude from Korn and he's not in Korn anymore and this is amazing. And he's like that, you know what, I'm just going to go back and play with this band here. And by the way, full touring schedule, major record label. Catch you later, guys. Have they done it? Do we know if they've done anything, the remaining members? Are they in other bands or?
One of them is.
All right.
One of them is.
Okay.
So basically 8 years after the start of their hiatus, the band are back. They've signed a deal with Earache, and basically Head had decided that it's time to put out some new Love and Death music. And I think from what I'm reading, part of it is down to COVID, because Head had said that his main musical project was on hold, and the same with other guys. This kind of allowed them to get together and start working on Love and Death again. So it's the same lineup they had in 2012, which is JR on guitars and backing vocals, Jason on bass, who is also, I think he plays guitar in Breaking Benjamin.
Right.
And Isaiah Perez on drums, and obviously Head on guitar and vocals. I actually hadn't heard their debut. I didn't realise that this was like an extension of Head's solo project from back in the day. I genuinely thought Head was the guitarist for this band. I did not know he was the front man until I actually watched a video on YouTube, and I was like, oh, right, okay, so this is his band, this is his project. Although it does, from reading the things, it does sound like the bassist Jason also does a bit of the writing and arrangement work for the band too. He had said there are certain things we can do melodically in Love and Death that might not work in Korn. For me, there are certain creative risks I can take with arrangements and production that wouldn't fit with Breaking Benjamin. So, Love and Death, gentlemen. What are we making of this new album from Love and Death? I'm not going to lie, I did go into this with pretty low expectations. Sorry. I'd heard a couple of the singles, and to be totally truthful, they didn't really do much for me. I was a little underwhelmed. Had you guys heard either of the singles prior to hearing the album?
No, not one.
No. So, I'll kick us off with this one.
You can literally watch Dave's brain go. He's like, does anyone want to talk about this? I'll just go forward first, guys. I will kick us off.
Well, this was a wee bit surprising actually, because
it's not a bad album.
I know, I went in with low expectations, but after spending some time with the album, it's kind of grown on me. And even the singles, which I didn't really have much of a connection with on first listen, they've kind of started to grow on me as well in the context of the album. Cards on the Table, this isn't going to be the most original thing you've ever heard. It has similarities with bands like Korn, Breaking Benjamin. There's a wee bit of Adema in there. There's a wee bit of Demon Hunter in there as well at times. So you have an idea of where this sits musically. That being said, I can't argue with the fact that the songs do exactly what they're supposed to. They're written with the intention of getting stuck in your head, and they're all pretty much single length. They come with big hooks and a big production. And while it's nothing I haven't heard before, I think they do it pretty well. But the songwriters of the band come from pretty well known and successful stock, so I'm not completely surprised that they can write an album with so many kind of earworms on it. Yes, like musically it's very familiar. That riff at the beginning of Tragedy, which is the first track after the intro, is right out of the Book of Korn. Like, right out of the Book of Korn. It sounds like late 90s, early 2000s Korn. Absolutely, 100%. It's not to say the whole song sounds like that, because it definitely had, as I said, that had a wee bit of a Demon Hunter vibe kind of going through it on the chorus. But throughout the album, you will hear a riff or a hook that will put you in mind of the other bands. The Let Me Love You cover, on first listen I was like, really? We're on track 4 of the album and we're already covering Justin Bieber. I was like, first impressions, I thought this is a wee bit lazy. I mean, considering they've been on hiatus for 8 years, like had all this time to write music and stuff, and they've stuck a cover song in on track 4. I was like, oh. But in saying that, after a few listens of it, I was like, I don't mind it. Like their version of it, it's all right. I've heard worse cover songs, to be honest. Still a little bit lazy, but I think maybe they could have made it like a bonus track, or maybe released it separately from the album, possibly. But after a few listens to it, I thought, all right, it's not that bad. I've definitely heard worse covers. Aside for that, it's quite catchy as an album. I found it difficult not to, like in my third and fourth listen, I was like, I was starting to sing some of the melodies, some of the choruses. I think The Hunter was probably my favourite track on the album. I think the chorus is excellent on that. And it's also got some of the kind of heaviest, kind of new metal-esque kind of grooves on it. That, and I think it was Affliction was the other one that was quite heavy in parts as well. Heavy for this band anyway. It's not Cannibal Corpse heavy. It's more like kind of, I don't know, kind of Demon Hunter heavy, I suppose. And I think it's an album that stays pretty consistent for its entirety. I think sometimes you find that bands will kind of front load their albums with all the good stuff, and then it starts to kind of become either repetitive or weaker as it goes on. I
believe they call that the 5-finger death punch, Dave.
Do they? Is that right? Interesting. And you tend to find that, like, when they hit that last quarter, that it starts to kind of weaken a little bit. But I actually liked some of the tracks towards the end of the album more than the ones at the start. It probably had more of their heavier tracks towards the end of the album as well. I thought it was an enjoyable album. It's nothing groundbreaking or innovative musically, but it's very well put together. They're clearly accomplished at writing a big kind of hooky melody, and I think they nail that on here. Musically, it sounds like a lot of other stuff, you know. It could be perceived as generic a little bit at times, but I was surprised at how much I liked it after spending a bit of time with it, to be honest. I didn't think, like, when I started hit play on this, I was like, this is not going to be good, but 3 or 4 listens in, it's not too bad. It's not too bad at all. Am I alone on this, Duncan? What did you make of this one?
Right, like I said right at the start, it's not a bad album. As we spoke about this in, once again, peek behind the curtain time, folks. We spoke about this, debating whether or not this is the sort of album we want to review, because we kind of, instinctively it's not going to be a bad album, right? But it might just be an average album, and I think I used the kind of the defense at the time of why you might not want to review an album that is average, in that it doesn't really conjure up any love or any hate, which can, on paper, make for a fairly beige review. There's nothing in here I can dislike. The production is very clean, very radio friendly. The music is well written for essentially pop metal songs, because that's what they are. They're designed, even the heavier moments in this album are still weirdly designed for radio. Like, everything in this is designed for radio, because of the nature of where it's coming from. I don't think there is a swear word on this, so it's not going to get a parental advisory sticker. It's very clean. It's just a clean album, and even when the subject matter is touching on the dark, it's still handled very cleanly. Yes, the choruses are very well written, and they're all hooky and earwormy, and that's what I kind of expected. What I was surprised by is there are a couple of Korn moments in here, but there isn't a lot. And I remember when Head left Korn, the big concern was, well, he's Monkey's the quirky sort of kind of weird guitar soundy sort of guy, and Head was the main riff writer. And what is kind of timed out on that one is that I think Head was maybe more involved with actually writing the hooks in early Korn. The song construction works really, really well. I think it's just one of those elements that it just feels effortless to the band, and that works. That makes me smile when I hear it, because I've said it before, love or loathe bands that write kind of poppy or commercial music. It is very fucking hard to write a song that people will be humming after an album finishes, let alone 2 songs that do that, let alone 5 songs that do that. And this album has them in spades. And I find cover songs on albums that are not bonus tracks a bit eye-rolly. I find it even more so when the band hasn't done anything in a while. I kind of feel like, this is 10 songs, guys. Why? The cover's fine. I mean, I'll put my cards on the table. I like the Justin Bieber song. So I think it's a great pop song. I think their version of it is really cool. I like the guest vocals on it. I think it adds a bit of texture to it. I mean, it's not a bad album. It's not a great album. It does pretty much what I think they're setting out to do, and it does it well. My issue with it is there is absolutely nothing on this album that is remarkable in any way, shape or form. That being said, there isn't anything on the album that I disliked. I don't dislike any of the songs. Don't think they're challenging in any way. I don't think they push themselves with the musicality and the people involved with this band. Specifically, I think they could maybe take, especially, to me, a side project or a alternate project should be for what he was talking about, which is the ability to craft differently constructed songs in the arrangement. There's nothing in here which feels that way. There's nothing in here that doesn't go, introduction, verse, chorus, interlude. There's nothing that breaks that formula that Korn does or Breaking Benjamin does. Yes, it's far more radio friendly than Korn is, and it's maybe a bit harder than Breaking Benjamin is, so maybe it is that middle ground. But to me, if you're going to do something that's like go out with your comfort zone, love him or loathe him, Fieldy has a rap album. So, you know what I mean? It's shit. But he did something that wasn't Korn. I just find it as a puzzling project to me, because I don't see anything in here that they couldn't do. Like, you could have 2 or 3 of these songs as quieter moments on a Korn album. You'd have 3 of these songs as heavier moments in a Breaking Benjamin album, and neither one of them would feel like, oh, they're really taking a turn here. They're really experimenting and pushing the envelope. It's a well-crafted, well-written, commercial, kind of heavy rock or alternative metal album. And that's all I can say about it. This was the very thing that I was concerned about when we said we should do it. Is it doesn't evoke anger or rage because it's so awful, and it doesn't evoke any adulation where I can sit there and say, this is really good. They have hooks for days. That's all I can say. Is they can write a really commercial, really catchy chorus, and they do it consistently throughout this album. There isn't one chorus on here that you can't hum back after listening to it. So that in itself is an achievement. But then the bands that both those musicians are coming from are that I can almost sing every Korn chorus, and the Breaking Benjamin songs that I know, which aren't many, but there are a few of them, I know the choruses to them. So yeah, that's all I can say. Kyle, I'm kind of hoping for some sort of derision here with the I hope he's not going to toe the party line here of this is a swell album. Swell feels like a word you could use for this one. This album's neat.
Yeah, right. That is exactly what you can say about it. This is neat. What I like about the people in this band is that they are so very brave to put out an album, not once, but twice, that sounds this fucking bland. It is the worst thing I've heard in a long time from such, Breaking Benjamin. They're not as heavy as Korn, but they're a really good band. Like, I like a ton of their songs. Only the albums, shut up. But I like a ton of their songs. Korn, I grew up with Korn. I love so much of their stuff. And they can hit hard, and they can be light and funny, and they can do all that stuff. This band does fucking nothing. This is the most middle-of-the-road, bullshit, bland fucking grey porridge album I've ever heard in my life. Why the fuck did they bother? I listened to it 3 times, and every time I got to the end of it, I was like, what was the point? This is just shit. I mean, okay, you can play songs, you can write songs, you can craft things and do all that, but why did you do it here? Why did you put this stuff that sounds like it came out of early 2000s? If they released this in the early 2000s, it would have changed the game. Maybe. Possibly. They probably would have said, it sounds a bit like Korn. And that's what I can say. The biggest thing these people have to say, their biggest selling point is the guitarist is from Korn, the other one's from Breaking Benjamin, these other people are from YouTube. That's it. When that's your biggest selling point, why fucking bother?
It does feel like there's a tour somewhere from 2001 with Chevelle that they should be on. Like, it does kind of feel there's a tour out there that never happened.
It's just. And the production, you guys say it's fine and it's clean and everything, but it's like, but it's bland as fuck. It sucked the life out of the guitar tones. All the drums, everything's just too even, it's just straight down the road. They've got all the perfect automation, all the stuff is there, everything's in its little box, and it's just like, what the fuck did you bother for? There's a couple of riffs on there that are like you said, they're very heavy, very Korn-like. And it's like, I liked those riffs. Not a great deal, but I liked them. And then, but the tone and the production just sucked all the life out of it. And I was like, just fucking stop. Just hit stop on the thing, pack up your shit, go back to Korn, and stop this shit, because it's crap. It's just, why the fuck? I just don't understand. I mean, okay, covering Justin Bieber, I could see the comedy in that. And I would do it but I would try and make it as funny as possible and do it really serious and as heavy as possible. But there wasn't even that either. It was just like, we kind of like this Justin Bieber song, let's cover it. And like you said, after 8 years, you'd put in a cover on a 10-track album, like, nah, get out. I mean, all props to all of the musicians. They're very good at what they do, but nothing here was pushing any boundaries. Not that that's always a case of, like, if you can write a great rock song that sounds like it comes from the 1970s and is not pushing any boundaries, like that other band we spoke about.
Oh, Sonic Flower.
Sonic Flower, right?
Yeah.
They wrote those songs 15 years ago. They sound like they come from 1970, but they're fucking great songs. They're so good. They're not pushing the boundary, but they're really good. This is totally the opposite. It sounds like it comes from the mid-2000s, but it sounds like it would have been fucking wank then as well. So, I just don't understand where the hell they got there in the ideas to go like, let's write some songs that are kind of past the bar for metal, but that's about it.
Dave told you, COVID.
Yeah, I don't care. There's so many bands that have written under the guise of COVID. We talked about this before. Every PR thing we get recently is written under the lockdown of COVID, and those albums have been incredible.
I'm surprised. Like, at the moment, the only groups I'm aware of that are kind of quote unquote super groups. So this isn't a super group. Like bands that haven't done anything in a while. Are fucking, what was it, Scour and Selmo's lot, where they're like that, right, COVID, let's write a black metal album. And this one, I would have thought we would have had loads. I would have thought with musicians being locked at home, bands that they've done like one and done on, or you know, these super groups or these side projects. I'm surprised there's not a fucking Team Sleep album out there, because Chino's doing every fucking thing at the moment. You know, I'm just really surprised that we're not getting that, because if anything, the technology, I'll tell you what we are getting, plenty of fucking YouTube videos where celebrities are singing Imagine, you know what I mean, like, or like when all the metal fucking folk did that, you know, cover of We Care a Lot, which wasn't very good. Sorry, guys, it really wasn't fucking good. Like, the technology is there, and more readily accessible than ever, to have, you know, people all over the world and these kind of, you know, side projects or supergroups to come together and write stuff that you would think fertile ground. But well, I suppose a year is young, so we might be getting a lot more. But yeah, it does surprise me. I actually expected a lot more kind of left field stuff to be coming out even this early in the year, and it doesn't appear to have arrived yet. I don't have the hatred that you, or I don't have the ferocity of opinion that you have against it. I just can't be. It's like a puppy. It's like a puppy that's pissed on the rug and then looked at you with the sad eyes, and you want to shout at it. But puppy is what
it's like
puppy
a
does.
Puppy that sits there and does exactly what a puppy is meant to do in no remarkable way whatsoever. It's just like, it's not really that cute. It doesn't piss on the rug. It just sort of exists in the corner, and you have it.
I can't hate it.
All right, yeah, you can't hate that puppy, but I can hate this, because it's just, I got through it 3 times and just thought, what the fuck was the point in this? Why did I hear this? What was your message? What? Am I meant to feel something? No, it's just a bunch of radio-friendly metal songs.
But maybe that's what they're going for. Maybe that's their modus operandi.
I think it is.
But why? Why would you do that?
Because
it elicits no feeling except for...
Because it makes money, Kyle. I don't know if you're familiar with this concept.
Well, I mean, if that's the point of it, this is just like the Transformers of metal, isn't it?
Pretty much, yeah. I mean, you could take one or two of these songs and put on a Transformers soundtrack. You know, like one of those Michael Bay movie things easily. But I think that's I think that's kind of that was my concern coming into the review. Is without even listening to it, I had an idea of how it was going to sound. I thought it would sound very squeaky clean and you know, very commercial, and it's very squeaky clean and very commercial. But that in itself, to me, is not something I can't hate that, because, like I say, I appreciate that it is incredibly difficult to craft a hook like that, and they've done it all the way right through the album. The problem to me is that all those hooks are there for sure, but I can't remember any verses at all. I can just remember the choruses.
I can't remember anything about it. I listened to it 3 times, and it's just like, that was some audio I just listened to.
Listen, there's some goth chick out there that is going to be trying on a Rob Zombie t-shirt and a Hot Topic.
That's what my next point was going to be. This could be a very good gateway album into metal for people that are not into the heavy stuff. And that is probably the only thing this has got going for it. If I gave this to my wife, who doesn't like metal at all, she'd be like, this actually sounds fine. And I'm like, fine, you're on your way. I'm pushing you in the right direction, you know?
Yeah.
But then again, that's the album's biggest selling point. Like, it's a gateway drug.
I don't think we're the... I just want to stress that I don't think we're the target audience for this band. You know what I mean? I don't think, like... I really hope we get the 39-year-old Scots into this. You know what I mean? Like that.
It's like, but then who's the target audience? Because there's nothing real substantial there.
Hot Topic people. People that shop in Hot Topic.
They listen to stuff that's got more substance than this.
I don't know when the last time you were in a Hot Topic, but last time I was in one, this was not one.
2017.
Him was playing.
Wasn't listening to the music they were playing.
I like him, but him was playing almost on loop.
Oh Jesus, yeah.
And that's what I mean. It's the thing. There's a predefined audience of kind of teenagers who are trying to make that transition. That it will fit that gap, but we're not the audience for it. I appreciate what they're doing. I just it's not anything that is not my particular taste. But there's nothing here I can hate. It
was my particular 7-string down tune in, drop A and standard B riffs. That's my thing. and they fucked it.
I'm scared to ask the ratings on this one, but you're going to hate me for this, to be honest, because I went into this with very low expectations, and I was quite surprised by it. Not surprised like musically, I wasn't surprised at all, but surprised how much I liked it after a few listens. And for me, the choruses did stick in my head. Like, I was singing them after my third and fourth listen. I was like singing along. So it's a 3.5 for me.
That's about what I expected. That's a middle of the road rating.
That's exactly where I am as well.
Album from a bunch of great musicians, and I'm like, no, something doesn't add up here.
Yeah, I'm a 3.5 as well. I'm with you, Dave. I think like I say, it doesn't inspire me to go and pick up like an instrument to play. It doesn't inspire me to do it like that. But it doesn't have anything at all in it that I'm like that. Well, that's a shitly written song, or that's been poorly constructed, or everything they do is clean. And that's my issue. It's just a little bit too squeaky clean for me. But yeah, I can't fault it on anything out with the fact that it's not as daring as I want that album to be. They're not me. They're doing, like you say, this is designed specifically for a market, specifically for an audience, and specifically to make money. And I think it probably ticks those boxes. Those boxes are just not boxes that I have on my checklist. 3.5 is I think that's a fair grade for an album that sounds like this.
I have a feeling this is going to be Kyle's first 5-star review of 2021.
That's a joke that you'll need to listen to the podcast for, but please do.
This is my first 5 this half hour.
Kyle, what are you scoring this album?
Oh man, it's tough because, like, obviously they're good musicians. They're very good at what they do. They can definitely write a song. They wrote 9 songs. Sound all the fucking same. And they all have their hooks and they all have their parts and all that and everything. But it's like, I don't know. It's just so. I think I'm just gonna have to go with a 2. Sorry,
2.
They're clearly very talented, but it didn't show here.
Okay. That's fair
enough.
There
we go.
That is.
I might take that back. Actually, I thought this review was going to be my statement pre this review, when I was like that. There's no point in reviewing an album like this because it's not going to generate much in the way of discussion. This may have generated the most discussion out of any album we've reviewed. So I think maybe we need to do more of this. So
oh no, maybe. Please, I'm not in the mood to kill myself this year.
Have you heard of the band Green Day?
Oh, fuck.
Oh, man.
Oh,
man. Yeah, this one drops on February 12th on Earache Records, of all labels.
Which damn still can't that. No make sense, Dave. No make sense.
If you want to check them out, facebook.com/love and death music. Put a little link in the description below to their Facebook page. That's a review, guys. Let us know what you think. This is obviously one of those kind of almost polarising albums. I think everyone's going to have an opinion on this, so let us know if you've heard of the singles. Once you've heard the album, stick some comments in below. Happy to hear your thoughts on it. Appreciate you checking out the review. Thanks very much. We'll be back with another review very soon, but until then, take care. Speak to you soon.
Bye, everyone.
See you later.